I asked Dr. Zumlot, please come to the podium. Put your hand together for Dr. Zumlot. The Lion of Palestine.
Thank you very much, my dear brother, really, for this rather very generous introduction. Palestine has millions of lions. The 14 million Palestinians are lions. You are a lion, and all of us are roaring right now to stop the atrocities back there. But let me start, my friends, distinguished audience, friends, by really expressing my gratitude and how pleased I am to be with you today and to address this very distinguished forum. And the thanks are for our friend Mark Domfried and his team, of course, here at the Academy for Cultural Diplomacy for the invite. It is indeed an honor to be here at this particular moment in our history and addressing an issue that is diplomacy and cultural diplomacy that is often overlooked as a component of the overall diplomatic affairs. Indeed, I would argue that cultural diplomacy, my dear Mark, is something that we need to prioritize right now in these very turbulent maybe, and deeply disturbing times. Hard power in the form of military power is threatening us all. From Israel's genocide violence in Gaza to Sudan, Congo, Ukraine, and countless other hot spots around the world, hard power is increasingly the go-to option to resolve disputes, some of which, like the case of Palestine, span over a century of denying rights, a century of abuses. There are two main reasons for this situation. Both are related. One is the weakness of an international order that for too long has been the domain of powerful states to manipulate as they please, and which, as a result, fewer and fewer countries are paying heed today, losing the legitimacy and credibility of a global system that we established as a community of nations together after the horrors of the Second World War. Another reason is the inequality, the asymmetry between actors, both economic and, of course, militarily. After all, if there is no serious chance that an opponent can resist with adequate firepower, and the opponent does not have any significant financial clout to respond with, why invest in lengthy and complicated diplomacy rather than simply let the tanks roll and the bombers fly? This is especially true in the absence of a functioning global order to which we all should appeal to and be subjected to under one equal rules. War and the use of financial coercion. The US is currently imposing sanctions on financial sanctions on 32 countries and territories across the globe. Has, in other words, increasingly replaced traditional diplomacy as a way to resolve conflicts. So my distinguished guests and the audience today, on the face of it, on the very face of it, this is really surprising. Surprising because the world is connected as never before. Goods and people are connected, traversing in an unprecedented volumes. Information about anything, anyone, anywhere is freely available at an incredible speed. Humanity as a whole is a better informed and better educated about the rest of the world than at any point in our history. Ask the young generation now. We know details of various spots of the globe, of the world. We are definitely better informed and better educated, period. We are. Everywhere we look, we see different cultures represented. We hear music and experience art from all over the world. We see movies and read books from directors and authors from every corner and every background. And in a huge metropolis like London, every culture, literally every culture on earth is represented in one way or another. I arrived to this great city when I was much younger as a student in the late 90s, and how much I felt that this is really a special metropolis, special space for all, where not only your difference is acknowledged, but your difference is celebrated. And yet, earlier this month, we witnessed race riots in the UK. In Palestine, even under Israeli military occupation, and with all the restrictions that are imposed on us, we have people coming from everywhere, all over the world, visiting, working, performing, pilgrimage, or simply performing, enjoying our good food, enjoying our good culture, our music. Yet, for the 11th month, my friends, we have watched Israel commit genocide in Gaza, with the full and continued support of its allies in the West. Throughout this month, or these months, we have lived, particularly over the last few weeks, we have lived with the fear of a full-blown regional war after Israel assassinated a Hamas political leader, Ismail Haniyeh, in Iran. Is this a failure of diplomacy? Is it a failure of humanity that dooms attempts at cultural diplomacy and the wider diplomacy, Mark? What is happening? I would argue the opposite. I would argue the opposite. This is not a failure of diplomacy, including cultural diplomacy or soft power. This is, in fact, a failure of hard power. This is a failure of military power. This is a failure of tanks and jet fighters and bombers. So, my friends, the problem with hard power is that unless the aim is strictly limited, a reliance on coercion can only go so far. And it always backlash. You cannot bomb your way to political solutions. You simply can't. You can't. It's been tried throughout history, throughout empires. It never, ever worked. It will never work. And nowhere is a better example of this than my country, my beloved homeland, Palestine. The modern history of Palestine is by now fairly well understood. We can start with the British Empire and its 1917 colonial promise to European Jewry of a homeland in Palestine, which implicitly left Britain opposing Palestinian self-determination 107 years ago. If you read the Balfour Declaration, you can see how the native population, the Palestinian people, were merely rendered as non-Jewish communities. We, who have lived there for millennia, the cradle of civilizations, the hub between East and West, the birthplace of Christianity, where we were defined by that colonial promise, by that colonial declaration, not but by who we are, but by who we are not. And therefore canceling us effectively as a people, as a nation, with our links, with our cultural links to the land. Over the decades, my friends, that followed immigration from Europe that went largely unchecked, bar one period in response to what was called the Arab Revolt from 1936 to 1939, but which more accurately should be probably described as the first Palestinian Revolution. And yet, despite the mass immigration and colonial suppression, there was never a Jewish majority in Palestine until the Nakba of 1947-49 and the ethnic cleansing of 2/3 under the watch of Britain. 2/3 of the Palestinian people, my own parents and grandparents included. This disaster, Nakba, as we call it, was never addressed until this very day. Rather than allow the refugees to come home, the new Israeli state did exactly the opposite. It razed hundreds of villages, more than 500 villages and towns and cities. And with its absentee property law, which, by the way, some of them are actually in the homeland, the homeowners, the property owners, the farm owners. Under this absentee property law, in effect, banned the right of return for Palestinians and legalized the theft, the confiscation of their homes, our lands, and our properties. In 1967, as you all know, Israel occupied the rest of historical Palestine and immediately set about the colonial project, the settlement expansion. Both the military occupation and the settlements and the settlement project are illegal, unlawful under international law. In fact, they are very well defined, particularly the settlement building, defined in the Geneva Conventions as war crimes. War crimes. Those who study law here would know that the transfer of the population of the occupying power to the occupied land is a war crime. The recent ruling from the International Court of Justice could not be clearer. That's what it says. That's a ruling. That's the highest court of the land, of the globe. It says the occupation is unlawful and settlements are illegal and must be withdrawn and dismantled. And third parties, and here it's a very important ruling, third parties like the UK, the US, and any other, are prohibited by the ruling of the International Court of Justice from rendering aid or assistance, political, financial, legal, and what have you, military, of course, to Israel to maintain this illegal reality. Yet, my friends, here we are 76 years later and 57 years later, and despite a peace process in the 90s, as you all may have followed, that was supposed to end the occupation and find a political solution based on the two states, Israel still occupies, still settles at accelerated pace our land. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because despite over 100 years of subjugation, of oppression and repression, despite Israel's ethnic cleansing and occupation, besiegement, blockade, rounding up people, arrests, detentions, interrogations, murder inside the prisons, starving people inside and outside, of course. Despite all that, Israel has not succeeded to bomb and bully its way to any sustainable outcome. It hasn't. And it will never. You cannot defeat a nation, a people, only by the force of F-16s. Nations are not defeated this way. You cannot fight mothers and grandmothers and lawyers and taxi drivers and hairdressers. It's a nation. It's a people. When are we going to learn this lesson of history? Shouldn't we learn what happened in South Africa? Or in Algeria? Or in many other places? This is the limit of hard power, my friend. This is the limit of hard power. And it is the reason we are now seeing a genocide play out. This is exactly the reason. Because the more they discover that their hard power has no impact, the more they exercise hard power. And that's exactly how we got to a mindset of extermination, not just subjugation and oppression. Extermination. That's exactly why this is the reason we are seeing a genocide playing out. This is the reason Israel has moved from ethnic cleansing to full-fledged genocidal. If you deliberately and willfully undermine chances of a political solution, as Israel has quite openly done, both with its stated opposition to ending its occupation and with its accelerated illegal colonial settlement expansion, the logic of hard power dictates that it must continue until extermination. That's it. Because if one Palestinian is left, that logic of hard power didn't work. If one. So my friends, in contrast to Israel, we, the Palestinian people, have very little by way of hard power. We don't have it. We don't have an army. We don't import from the US or being aided by the US all the last weaponry, F-35s, and we are certainly not a nuclear power. We don't even have the basic hard power requirements. And we don't have the economic and the financial. We don't have oil. Actually, we do. We have olive oil, I have to say. But we do not, nonetheless, have a significant hard power. However, we have a very significant soft power. And this is the discussion of today. We have a very significant, sustainable, powerful, everlasting soft power. It is our history, our heritage, our attachment to our land, our vibrant culture, which has withstood 76 years of Israeli attempts at erasing us. Withstanding 76 years of attempts at extermination and erasure is a testimony to the strength of the soft power of the Palestinians. That is our history, our heritage, our attachment to our land, our vibrant culture, and of course, our rights and the justness of our cause. Our culture sustains us, my friend, and I'm so glad, Mark, that you have picked the topic cultural diplomacy. Our culture, the Palestine culture, unites us. It does unite us, gives us solace. It is who we are. And why we may differ in the political arena as Palestinians. I'll tell you, Palestinian culture bring every Palestinian around the Maqloubi. We cherish our culture. Brings us together. It glues us together. Ours is an ancient people with an ancient culture rooted in our land for thousands of years. Thousands of years. You can't make it up. You can't just invent it. You can't order it from Wall Street or something, or Amazon. Our culture is ingrained in our souls, is deeply rooted in our people and in our land. I was born in a refugee camp in Gaza, by the way, in Rafah. And my earliest memories are of my older relatives, all Nakba survivors, coming together to cook. I remember maftool. In Northern Africa, they call it couscous. Maftool. To cook, to share old songs from before the Nakba, to recite poetry. My aunts used to embroider clothes in traditional way, in which every stitch, every single stitch has a meaning. Every stitch has a reason. Every stitch tells a story. Every stitch tells a story. This was not politics to me as a child. It was more powerful than politics. It was who we are. our heritage, our identity, our history. It was our culture. And Palestine, as you all know, is rich, globally rich. And even if you look at the UNESCO list of World Heritage, you will find at least 5 sites that are listed as a World Heritage in Palestine. Of course, including the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem, including the old town of Hebron, which is a World Heritage site. Batir village in Bethlehem, the land of olives and vines, and Tell al-Sultan in Jericho, and of course, all that is in the West Bank, but of course, we have also a listed site in Gaza, which is the Tel Amir in Gaza. And our culture and commitment to education has also allowed us to withstand. We have one of the highest literacy rates in the world and one of the highest per capita PhD graduates and holders worldwide. This is what kept us determined, steadfast, rooted, able to be resilient. And by the way, this explains to you why at the beginning of this genocide, Israel targeted the education sector. You know, they have destroyed by now 80% of Gaza's schools and 100% of Gaza's universities, because they know education is our lifeline. And they know by targeting education, they are targeting not only our history and our present, but they're targeting our future. Our future. Our filmmakers, my friend, our poets, our artists and musicians, our academics and intellectuals, you all know big names like Edward Said, right? And Mahmoud Darwish. Our writers are journalists, all tell our story to a global audience. And now we have younger generations. We are very proud of the younger generations of our professionals. They tell it well. They tell our story very well. It is a compelling story. And it is a story that is increasingly well understood as the world begins to finally see through the myth, or I should have said the myths, of land without a people. You know that myth, land without a people, for a people without a land. See through the myths of divine entitlement, chosenness. There is no such a thing. God loves all of his sons and daughters equally. The world sees through the myths of self-defense against women and children. The vast majority of those slaughtered in Gaza, as you all know by now, are women and children. Almost 17,000 orphans we have who have lost either one parent or all of their parents. More than 16,000 children have been slaughtered over the last 10 months or so. So my friends, ours is a story that is grounded in our connection. That's what I'm trying to say. It is grounded not in politics, not in even political ambitions. It is grounded in our connection to our land. In the words of Mahmoud Darwish, our national poet, he wrote a poem that was entitled My Roots. And he goes, my roots took firm hold before the birth of time, before the beginning of the ages, before the cypress and olives, before the growth of pastures. My job, my friends, as a diplomat, especially as a Palestinian ambassador, the honor of my life, to a large degree consists in elaborating this soft power, to engage in cultural diplomacy, promote and support Palestinian artists and cultural events, and to educate my interlocutors about our history and our heritage. I do it with pride. I do it with love. I do it with passion. And I do it knowing that our culture has gone global, absolutely global. Our flag is now a symbol of freedom. The watermelon a symbol of the dignity of our struggle, of our rights. You see it everywhere with ordinary people. You see our kufiya now being used, by youngsters everywhere. It's a statement. It's an attachment to our culture because these are cultural symbols. And my friend, but cultural diplomacy needs teeth. It does need teeth. And that demands a functioning global order that takes its commitment to a universal values and international law seriously. That is the one thing that we are missing in Palestine and the rest of the world. The equal and consistent implementation of international law and an end to the double standards that see Western powers, certain Western powers, support a military occupier and its decades-old subjugation of an entire people, rather than the legitimate aspirations of liberty of a people under occupation. And may I qualify, when I say the West, I do not mean every country in the West. Because, we have to salute countries like Spain, Ireland, Norway, Slovenia. Many countries in the world have taken the principled stance and position in the last few months and in the last years. But there are certain countries, the US tops the list, who remain to be an absolute backers of such grave, grave misuse of power and such grave illegality. So my friends, unlike hard power, soft power and cultural diplomacy holds out the promise of sustainable resolution. It does so because it appeals to our shared values, our common humanity. I see it. I see it when I share my culture, when I share a good meal, or I share a good poem. People's perception is completely different. Interaction is completely different. It asks us to understand and appreciate, that's the cultural diplomacy, to appreciate each other rather than fear each other. It is crucial in a world in which we face common existential threats from global warming to an unprecedented global refugee crisis, thanks to the hard power. These problems can only and will only be solved with global cooperation stemming from a mutual awareness that we, the human race, are in this together. There is no soul salvation. We can either resolve it for all or we are doomed, because we do have global issues. And look at the issue of Palestine in the last 11 months or so. It did not confine itself to the borders of Palestine. It is a global issue. And the ramifications is global, but so is many other issues. What future are we leaving for our children? What world are we leaving behind? That requires solid international cooperation. And mutual understanding is the first step towards peace, towards justice, in Palestine and anywhere else. Such understanding, and I've studied the history of conflict resolutions as much as I could, it all began with this word, understanding. Understanding. In Northern Ireland, it began with understanding. In South Africa, in the Balkans, everywhere else. Understanding. Understand the grievances. And for too long, we the Palestinian people, for too long, far too long, we were not allowed to express our grievances. And you may have followed at the beginning of this situation, all of you, how the media has treated us and me personally. They want to deflate the conversation. The victim is to be blamed all the time. But to talk about your grievances, to talk about what has been taking place for 76 years was not a priority. And whenever you have a chance to do so, they would take you to deflate you, to silence you. understanding. Let the Palestinian people tell their story. Talk about their grievances. Let every people talk about their grievances. Let understanding be the common thing between us. And my friends, such understanding must also be wedded to a commitment to the rules. The rule of law. There has got to be rules. This is not just about grievances. It's about common, shared rules, the rule of law. Why is this country so renowned? Why many people would like to live here or invest here? It's one word, the rule of law. They know here in this country there are solid court systems. There is the separation of power. You're safe. Even if your rights are infringed on, you have a recourse to justice. We need to apply that elsewhere. And the UK has to be consistent. If it accepts the rule of law domestically, it has got to accept the rule of law globally. And these rules must apply equally to all. No exceptions, no impunity, no one above the law. Why is Israel been put above the law for 76 years? Why? You know, Israel was established exactly around the very same time as the post-World War II global order, around the same time. And it has been in ode with that order ever since. In ode. And the powerful Western countries have actually established that, the world order, after the horrors of the Second World War, for the never again for all of us, but also established Israel as per the Balfour Declaration and all that followed, and they couldn't really match the two creations. And now Israel is dragging this whole international order into perhaps the dustbin of history, undermining it at every corner. Because people are watching that, oops, we apply the rules only to certain people. Do you remember what the general prosecutor of the ICC, Karim Khan, said only a couple of months ago on a CNN interview? He said a Western big leader told him that the ICC was created for Russia and African countries. Seriously. Why? There are no criminals in the West? There are no criminals elsewhere? Anybody who aids Israel in its genocide is criminal. That's not me saying. That's the judges of the International Criminal Court and the judges of the International Court of Justice. And therefore, I'd like to conclude here, my friends, we are still some distance from that in Palestine to see all that happens. Even though recent ruling by the ICJ and the ICC suggest the institutions of the international law are beginning to find their ways on this cultural issue. On this very crucial issue. And it is a very crucial issue. Palestine, my friends, Palestine is truly a global issue, a global cause that is now widely identified as part of a wider anti-racist struggle. For the love of God, how heartwarming for me to see that the anti-racist demonstrations in London and all over the UK had the Palestine flag. To associate anti-racism, anti-bigotry, anti-hatred with my country and my flag is an honor. And this tells you the story that our cause has become a global cause. For everybody who believes in anti-racism, for everybody who wants to uproot hatred and bigotry, who wants to fight subjugation and oppression. And this is really a very historic moment. And when, not if, my friends, when we, the Palestinian people, finally secure our liberation in a state of our own, it will be a resounding victory for soft power and cultural diplomacy. And that will be a victory for us all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Free Palestine!